Alright, good afternoon everyone. So I wanted to make an update video on my Rolex Explorer 16570. Let me zoom in here. So I'm making this update video as a proper review since I said I wanted to wear it a little bit before I made a review. I've worn it a couple months and I'm actually going to be selling it. So I just want to go over my thoughts on the watch, why I'm selling it, what do I think about it, which watch won it out for me. So, as we've discussed before, this is a 40 millimeter watch. It actually ends up coming in about 39 millimeters if you measure it. It's a nice substantial case, but it's very thin. Holes case. This is a 1999 version, so it's a holes case, but it's one of the early ones with a super luminova dial, as you can see with the Swiss made. So the lume's okay, but that's one of the big negatives for me about this watch is the lume. The lume is very bright, but I've always been a big proponent of the idea that lume is about two factors. It's about brightness / longevity, which is what most people talk about, and it's also about the area of the lume. So this is plenty bright, but once it dims down to that secondary light level that luminova happens to, like when you charge luminova, it's bright for maybe 10-15 minutes, and then it kind of drops down to a second value of brightness that it holds for like a really long time. Once it drops down to that second value, the area is so small you got to really squint, in the middle of the night to see what time it is. You can see what time it is all the way to the morning, but you have to squint pretty good. And so that's one nitpick I have with this watch. The second nitpick is, I guess, sort of with the bracelet. So I like the bracelet. It's really nice. But it is a little rattly, and that's kind of that, and the end links. I don't mind their hollow end links, but when they do, because they're hollow, they do flex a little bit just from use. And so I do like, there you go, you can see right there. So when you look at the watch from an angle, you can kind of see that gap. And that bugs me because, we're used to solid end links now where it's like a totally flush marriage with the case. So, a little rattly, which I don't mind the lightness, I don't mind that it's hollow links, I don't mind any of that stuff, but I do want, generally speaking, let me put it up on the box so it's nice and up high for everybody while I talk. There we go. So, that bugged me. Otherwise, I had no problem with the watch. It runs about 4.8 seconds a day. It's been pretty durable. It's been great to deal with. I've worn it all the time. But to me, it wasn't worth the Rolex premium for this watch, which is ironic because I did not feel that way about paying the new price for this watch, which is the one that kind of won it out for me, the Tudor Black Bay 36. So this is the watch that I'm going to be wearing going forward, and to me this was better. So I've done this before with the Janelle. Let me compare these two watches and see why I prefer one over the other. So they have a very similar dial layout. But I like the 12 o'clock on the Tudor. The triangle is much longer, and it gives it like a very narrow appearance, and I like that better. I like that the Tudor has a maxi dial. I also like that the lume on the Tudor has a clear lacquer over it, so it gives it kind of a shiny look when it's in bright sunlight. I prefer the fact that the lume goes all the way to the tip on the Tudor. If you see on the Rolex when you try and rotate it and reflect it, the lume only goes like to where the rectangular part stops on the minute hand, whereas in this one it goes all the way to the end, which means that it's a lot more legible at night. And I also like the length of the Tudor hand better, how it goes all the way to the end of the minute track, versus this one, the Rolex, just kind of goes to the start of the minute track and doesn't even actually get quite that far. So those are my big dial reasons, I guess. I don't really care about all the text on the Rolex. I do like the simplicity of the Tudor dial, but I also have to love, like I said, I don't really care about the solid end links so much, and I do like the solid end links, but I don't care about the solid mid links so much. But the stamped clasp, while it works, and I have no problem with it, so it works better when you open it first. Yeah, well, it works, and I have no problem with it. That really high-end detent based, ball bearing setup on this one is just so comfortable. So, that's what really gets me with this watch. It's just that this one, the Tudor, to me is more of a pure tool watch. It's expensive, but all it does is tell time. Let me get this sitting upright. There we go. All it does is tell time, while the Rolex, and this is, it's a great watch if you fly a lot. If I flew like, very, very regularly, I probably would keep the Rolex just because it's useful for that. But to me, the Rolex is a representation of a flyer's watch or a caver's watch. The caver's thing is total BS to me, but a flyer's watch, but almost, because of the lume, it's just not super useful for me as a field watch, which is what I need most of the time. So that's why I'm getting rid of it. Otherwise, I think it's a solid watch. If I had to give it an out of 10 kind of a thing, I'd probably would give it probably a 9 out of 10. Very awesome watch. And I don't think I'd score the Tudor a lot higher. They have different scores for different reasons, but for me, the Tudor is just more of the watch that I need rather than the Rolex. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye.